Hi, Adele. How are you?
I'm good, Laura. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so curious to hear about your story and how you started Eterneva, but I like to start from the beginning with everyone. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the central coast of California in a little town called San Luis Obispo.
Oh, good wine.
Yeah, exactly. I grew up in vineyards.
And where did you go to college?
So I did something very funny and went actually to Montreal, Canada. My undergrad was in political science, and so I decided the most unbiased way to learn about that would be to go learn from a Canadian perspective, and it was awesome, amazing city.
hmm And
Yeah.
what did you want to do with that? What did you think you wanted to do?
So I'm a really impact driven person. I thought a lot about originally I wanted to be an actress. I have quite a few pretty well known actresses in my family. So I thought I wanted to do that. But then I was like, no, I really want to have, a bigger impact. And I felt like the vehicle to do that was going into politics. And then, I had an experience in DC. I worked there and I just realized that wasn't really for me. That wasn't, my people or my purpose. And so that's where I kind of had a nice transition point in my life where I came to Austin to get my MBA in entrepreneurship from a really, really awesome program called the Acton School of Business.
Mhm.
And it's very much entrepreneurship by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. So they actually used to be part of McCombs, which is a well-known business school, UT, and they split off, created their own program, took a 2-year program, put it into 9 months, made you work 100 hours of work per week. Like they call it like the Navy SEAL boot camp for entrepreneurs. It was exactly what I needed. It was a really powerful way to launch into kind of a new chapter in my life.
I just found out about that just from reading your bio, and I'm like, how did I not know about this program?
It's crazy. Like they literally had us, they were like, well, you need to know how to sell as an entrepreneur. So here's how you're going to do it. You're going to go door to door and sell a dictionary for a week. Like that's how you learn how to sell. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's phenomenal. I couldn't recommend it more for somebody who truly wants to start a business.
Yeah. So you started out, you thought you wanted to do like politics, and then you went to entrepreneurship school. At that point, did you know that you wanted to have your own business, or like how did you know you wanted to go there?
I think it kind of comes back to some of the I think when I think about it, I had a lot of really wonderful female role models in my life between my grandmother, my aunt, both, wonderful, well-known actresses. My mom was an entrepreneur. So just a lot of females that paved their own path. And so, yeah, I think to me, it was like, I can be an architect of my own identity and I want to do that. So I knew I wanted to start my own business at one point, but I think what Acton really taught me is that you shouldn't just jump into any idea that you have. You should really do the homework to make sure that it is a good business. It has good business fundamentals. There's a real opportunity there. You're actually solving a real need because you're going to spend years of your life on this thing. And so when I graduated, I actually felt like, I would be better off going into tech and learning online marketing and the ins and out of how all of that works before I start my own business to be really prepared. And so I spent about 4 years in tech, 2 different companies, BigCommerce and TrendKite. I was a product marketer launching all of our new products to market. And that was just an incredible experience. Really primes you for launching your own company. So yeah, it was awesome.
So before you launched your own company, you did go to entrepreneurship school and work at corporate jobs. What
Mm-hmm.
what did both teach you that the other didn't?
That's a great question. I got my MBA really young. I graduated when I was 23, and I just felt like I had literally never seen what a grown up company felt like. I worked at a nonprofit previously in DC. And so I just think it is really important well, as an entrepreneur, you just are going to not have to learn as many things the hard way if you get an opportunity to work within a business and see how it functions and operates at scale. So I was very selective about trying to get near executives that I really respected, learning from some of the best marketing talent that I could learn from in Austin. And then, serendipitously getting to work at a company that was really operational and just, streamlined everything and had everything really like well integrated. And so going into my business now, I know the importance of things like data cleanliness from day one and like, scaling, kind of thinking with a scaling mindset today. So yeah, I think it's really valuable experience.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you said, I read in one of your bios somewhere, I don't even remember now, that you did quit your corporate job to pursue this Eterneva full time. How did you prepare yourself to quit? Did you save money? Financially, did you prepare yourself?
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think well, no, my partner Garrett and I I was like, no. He had it with so much, I have so much respect for him, having the confidence to quit and go full time, because he and I have known each other a long time. We worked together for 4 years. We even were roommates for a year, like really, really good friends. So we were always working on different business ideas together and kind of, had an idea that we were going to be working together on something. So we found this awesome opportunity in the lab-grown diamond space, which we saw as a total up-and-coming market. And it just felt like one of those things that you just have to jump and get after it. And so we did. And what was just so remarkable to me was Garrett quit his job the same month that he got married and bought a new house.
Wow.
So, and took no salary. We didn't pay ourselves for the first 6 months. And so, yeah, I mean, talk about like just going for it. Yeah.
Yeah, because so many people's excuses for, taking that risk is, oh, I don't have enough money, or I need to do X, Y, and Z. And so it is interesting that your partner, Garrett, who we'll talk about, he just like jumped because he had this like feeling, right? That's
totally
so awesome.
Absolutely. And also an amazing wife that supported him in doing that, because that's super important too. Like the older you get, the more layers of complexity. So yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Eterneva. Like, how did you guys come up with that idea?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just one of those things that, it started off with Garrett and I just being very business-minded people looking for a good opportunity, feeling that the lab-grown diamonds space was the place to be. So we were starting a business there, and very separately, kind of by a chance of fate, my really close friend and business mentor was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and passed away. And it was pretty sudden. And, everybody that was really close to her got a little bit of her ashes. And so we were all looking for something to do for her. And if I can count on one hand the number of people that I'm a different person because of their involvement in my life, she was one of them. And so I just wanted something really special for her, and I wasn't finding it online. And so over dinner, just really offhand, one of the diamond scientists mentioned to us how it's possible to take carbon from ashes or extract it and then grow a real diamond from that carbon. And it was just this crazy aha for me. I was like, this is what I need to do for Tracy without question. Garrett and I were just really inspired by it. And we started looking into, the handful of companies that were doing it. And, I felt like they just weren't the folk that I wanted to send my loved one away to. It just, it was very transactional. There wasn't a whole lot of transparency, and it just didn't feel like the experience that you would want when, dealing with something that's delicate. And so it just kind of inspired us. We're like, you know what? I think this is a real need. I think it's solving a real problem. Like, let's pivot. Let's focus on this. And it was just this very serendipitous thing, because not only do I have an amazing way to, eternalize my loved one now, I get to help people doing that every single day. And it's the most impactful work that both of us have ever done. It's amazing.
Don't you feel like Tracy kind of like handed you this, vision? I feel like she had a hand in it.
Oh, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Just how she was my business mentor, and now she is at the core of our story that we talk about her literally every single day. We had the honor of being part of Inc.'s 30 Under 30 this year. And it
Yeah,
just
awesome.
made me so happy to see the piece that they posted that was literally like a picture of Tracy, and I'm just like, man, she would be so proud. She would be so happy. It really felt like this is for you, Tracy. This is your legacy, kind of continuing on.
How did you know that there was a market for this? Because it is such a disruptor.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it just was so, I guess because I was the customer, I really understood when you have a really special connection to somebody. All of us have those handful of relationships, and when that person passes away, you really want to do something incredibly special for them to hold them close. Cremation is massively on the rise. Only 10% of people were cremated in the 80s. We're now over 50% in the US alone. Other countries, India, Japan, those are up to like 90, 100%. And so, the kind of the macro trends are in our favor, but more importantly, on a customer level, there aren't a lot of options for what to do with ashes, and people are really seeking that. And so we did the kind of lean startup way of doing things. We set up our whole supply chain, which it took a very long time for us to, get all that in place. And then we're like, okay, let's just test it. Let's see if, we put a website out there and, we bring people to our site, do they want to do this? And it was just an overwhelming response. It was awesome.
Are you wearing Tracy right now?
So this is actually Tracy. I have a black diamond for Tracy. And this is my grandma. I have a yellow diamond necklace for my grandma. We talk to our customers a lot. We can do a ton of different colors, and we always say, what do you feel like is the color that really suits your loved one? Like when you look at it, you want it to bring up positive memories and things that you're like, oh, I love this. It makes you smile. And so we think about that, and then we think about, do you want to look down at a ring and, have that connection point, or do you want them over your heart? I've got both.
But the person has to be cremated. Right?
Not necessarily, actually. So we can do this from the carbon and hair as well. So if someone is buried, we could do it. We have even, our business is in celebrating remarkable people that have passed, but we've had people come to us for their engagement diamond and be like, can you do the carbon from both of our hair together? So it's literally our diamond. We're like, of course. Yeah.
Whoa.
Right?
Starting a whole new trend. Like,
I know.
It's also so great because, diamonds for a really long time have been like, blood diamonds,
Yeah.
I feel like you're changing the way that we buy diamonds too.
Totally. I mean, it should be, I think, a symbol of meaning and significance. And, what's more meaningful than literally it to be like your diamond, and have it filled with that meaning rather than just kind of an empty shell of a diamond.
Okay, so let's go over the process really quick. You get a piece of the ashes or hair, and then it takes like 8 to 10 months to grow in a lab somewhere.
Yep. So basically, we ask for about half a cup of ashes, which is a really small amount relative to what you get back. We can't do it with less. So with our pet parents, a lot of the time we do it with less than a half a cup. And then we go through a process of extracting the carbon from the ashes. So there's usually a couple percentage points worth of carbon still. So we purify till we can get that carbon out. And that's what we're growing the diamond from. And we use the same conditions as under the earth. We have these incredible machines that under extreme pressure and temperature, over time, that carbon will crystallize on top of a diamond seed and grow into a rough diamond. And then our cutters will take that rough diamond, they examine it, they find the best area to be cutting the diamond from, because there's inclusions you're avoiding, just like with a regular diamond. They cut it, polish it, we have it graded and certified because it's a real diamond. And then we even have them laser engraved, so you can put your loved one's name or a personal inscription like on the edge of the diamond. And then if they wanted to do a color, we can go through a coloration process. We can do it like every color for any diamond. And then if they want our help, we can set it in jewelry, or they can work locally, either way. And then we cap it off with hand delivering every single person's diamond and making it an extraordinarily special homecoming.
Wow. Okay. What if have you found this that, my grandma's buried? Do people exhume the bodies to get a piece of them?
We haven't done one yet. We've had a couple of people reach out to us about it, and we're like, well, we won't do that part of it, but
Yeah.
if it's anything with carbon, so yeah, like if there's still biomaterial that has carbon, we could do it. We've even had families, when the Ventura fires hit in California, there was a family that reached out to us after their home burned down, and the mother was just devastated because that was their first family home. And so he wanted to do a diamond for her, from the actual ashes of the home. And we can do it because there's carbon. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So have you done like a series write a business plan? Like, how did you know what to do? I mean, you went to entrepreneurship school, but like, how did you start this?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really fortunate. I think not a lot of businesses have the luxury of bootstrapping, and we do, just given kind of the cash model that we have. So we've actually bootstrapped our entire business to date. I think there's a certain badge that you get by bootstrapping, because you just have to be so conscious all the time of cash flow and making really intentional investments and making sure there's a return on that investment. So I'm really glad that we have done that. It's not to say that we're not going to raise money. We most likely are. But yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of thinking about, sales is everything when you're a young company. So it's, sales first, and then, operational security, efficiency, scalability, and then what are those things that are making you different, and how are you getting yourself out there? What's really interesting in our space is 70% of Americans don't even know you can do this.
Yeah.
So for us, it's awareness building. Like, we never, ever, cold call somebody and say, hey, your loved one passed, do you want to do this? Like, never, ever, ever. It's all, a really powerful emotional story or PR. And then seriously, the word of mouth is incredible. Our customers just tell, their friends or their family, or, somebody's going to hear this where they had a loved one, who recently passed, and they're going to mention it to their friend who might need that.
Yeah.
So that's really how our business grows.
Yeah. So storytelling is like huge in your business.
Froze. Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely.
You did say that you were bootstrapped. When you are bootstrapped as a young company, what is the first thing that you should invest in? Like your people or operations or?
I think I just understood your question. It was cutting out a lot. So what are the most important things to invest in if you're bootstrapping?
Yeah.
Okay. Great question. I mean, it's definitely a balance. Your people are going to be one of your most valuable, assets that you have. I mean, our team we're really fortunate in that I feel like we have a team that all have ownership mindset. And I come in on the weekend and our operations manager is here. I'm like, why are you here? Go home, but it's just, I think you can't value that enough. And so I don't believe in, under investing in talent. I think that's just super important. I think you really think on the marketing side, how do you get really savvy with not spending money and making a big splash? And so, a lot of what we've done is trying to architect really powerful emotional stories that are getting thousands of shares organically on social media, just because we're telling a really great story, a really powerful story. And so, not just dumping it all into Google AdWords, it's literally a cost every time somebody clicks. We do that, of course, but it's just that mindset of like, is there a way that we could do this for free first, and then we invest?
Yeah.
And then I think for us in particular, our brand is so important and it's so powerful that that's where a lot of our investment goes, is the brand and the customer experience. We literally every single month, customers going through the process are doing pictures and videos and updates and like truly celebrating their loved ones so that it's a journey that they get to go on with us. And so we're always asking ourselves, like, how could we make that, more marvelous? Because again, that catalyzes word of mouth. It provides them an amazing experience. So things like, one of the first things we invested in was our packaging to for them to return the ashes. It's actually a video kit. So there's a literal video screen on the inside of it, and we personalize that. So it'll be like, hey, Laura, so happy to go on this journey with you, and they get a personal video message from us to start the process.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your team. And you mentioned your team and how important they are. And Garrett, how do you hire the right people? Because I'm solo right now, but I know eventually I'm going to have to get the right people on board. So what should I look out for?
So our number one filter above all else is a growth mindset. We want people that just want to get better. They don't have to be, I want to rocket up this ladder and I want to be managing the whole department at one point. Like, they could be very happy doing their, kind of being an artist in what they do, but that they're always wanting to get better and always wanting to improve and like open to ideas or feedback, or, that they're wired that way, that they just want to be better. I think a fixed mindset can be very cancerous to an organization, no matter how talented or smart that person is. If they're
in life.
Seriously, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so I just think it's a very simple, for me anyway, it's a very simple way to say, make a quick judgment on, is this a person a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? And you can also validate that a lot through back channel references. And that's a huge thing we're big on, is back channel references. It takes more time to do, but the amount of stuff that you learn about somebody when it's not the reference they gave you is pretty remarkable.
And how do you find that?
You look on their resume and see where the last couple places they worked and hunt down their manager at those places.
Wow, I like that.
Totally. Absolutely. I mean, there's been like multiple times that we haven't hired somebody because we learned something that we would have never known otherwise.
So growth mindset and kind of like Insta stalking.
Seriously. Yeah, absolutely. Getting a holistic picture of, who they are and what you're signing up for. And we even, one time we do a lot, we have a very intricate hiring process. So we do a lot of behavioral interviews, and then also a lot of the time we have a project, or in the case of a salesperson, they actually have to do mock calls with us, because we want to see what they're like, when the pressure is on, and also when they have to think on their feet. And our operations manager, when we hired for him, we were deciding between him and one other individual. We ended up ruling the other individual out because they took a kind of aptitude test. And as part of that, it showed, different personality traits. And one of them was that they didn't handle stress well. And so we're like, ooh, that's not good. This is our third hire at the time. And, we talked to many references, and, we validated, okay, yeah, they just need to be in a bigger organization. They would not do well in a small person organization. We have never found that out if we didn't have her do that aptitude test. So that was really fortunate.
Wow. Yeah. That's a very good thing to remember. So entrepreneurship can be such like a wave of emotions, right? Like, some days I feel like, yes, this is awesome. And other days I'm just like, oh my God, I need a pep talk. So what do you do to keep going, moving forward?
I mean, that's where I think it's just so powerful to have a good business partner. And sorry I say that. I know you're working on your own, but for me at least, that's right. I know. But, I've done things on my own previously, and contrasting that to now where, like literally Garrett has given me pep talks where I needed it most. And he's like, I believe in you. I know you're capable of this. Like, you're going to kick butt. And just hearing that is so, it's so helpful. And having somebody to push against, that you're you're both like, you don't want to let the other person down. You're both like, we are going to do this, and we hold each other accountable. And there's just, there really is something to all of that, I think. Yeah, I feel very fortunate to kind of have that opportunity, and it's hard. It also adds a layer of complexity because you have different personalities and you have to like agree and align on everything, and but it really is all worth it in the end, because I think you get a better result when you've got somebody pushing against you kind of all the time, but then supporting you every time you need it.
Yeah. So when your mentor and friend Tracy passed away, how did you deal with the grief?
That's a really good question. Like, I feel like I support so many people through their grief, and then it's been interesting to kind of step back and be like, have I done a good job of grieving or have I not? I think it was a particularly hard loss for me because it was, she decided she didn't want to go through chemo. And that was a really hard thing to hear somebody say, is like, you know what? No, I'm just going to let it be and ride it out. And, for somebody that's really like, I'll do whatever it takes, and I'm like, no, we got this. Like, let's do it. But that was her decision. And so I think that was just a really good lesson for me of acceptance and understanding, and, kind of taking a step back and really, like, I with more distance from it, I just really admire her for that decision. It took a lot of courage. And, my grieving process for her is, I would say, it's just those moments of solitude. Since I got her diamond and I wear it every day, there's just a ritual that I kind of have created that is just like, any quiet moment I have that I glance down and I notice it, I just think about her. I look up a lot of the time and just give her diamond a kiss. And yeah, it's my little connection point. It's my little moment with her. And it feels happy instead of sad, which I really enjoy and appreciate. It's not to say that I don't get really sad that, she's not here, because I do, but, I think it adds a little silver lining to it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, especially Western cultures, we don't like talk about grief. We don't know how to deal with it. We don't have words. We don't have support groups. And I think your company is doing something to change the conversation, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm halfway through a blog post right now that's how to engage with the grieving, because I seriously think people need like they need some tips.
Totally.
Yeah, we avoid it. And I think that's one of the hardest things for somebody that's grieving, especially someone that's grieving, a sudden loss or somebody that passed too soon, is everybody around them stops talking about that person. And that's just one of the most lonely and sad things for them, is that they want you to keep talking about them. They want to share those stories with you. And so one of the most powerful things you could do is just ask somebody like, hey, I don't really care how they died. I'd just love to know who they were as a person. And you have no idea how much you'll light up their world when you just ask them that.
Yeah. I actually lost my grandmother 2017 now. So it's like been a full year.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until she passed away and I was grieving that I understood how to react to other people grieving, which is, you just want to say, I'm here with you. I hold the space for you. You don't have to say sorry. You don't have to say anything else. Just say, I'm here for you. But ignoring you and not calling you is like the worst thing you can do.
100%. Or giving you, kind of false placations, it's all gonna be okay, you'll get beyond this. Like, no, that's not true, especially when it's a really tough, close connection, it will be there.
Yes, it's something that doesn't go away. It's something that will always live with you.
100%. And I think that's a big thing that, people need to understand. That's where there's harm in not saying anything at all, but there's a lot of harm in, telling somebody that they're, have been grieving too long or something like that, because then they're super lonely and feel like they have to hide it from everyone,
And that is like the one thing we all have in common, is we all will lose somebody.
Yeah.
Many people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting though, right? Like when you have gone through a loss, you just you see the world in a different lens. And so, it's a lot of the time helping people who haven't gone through one, really know what it's like, or know how to feel about it.
Yeah. So you have a lot of customers, and I'm sure there's so many cool, like not cool stories, but interesting
Totally
stories.
cool. Yeah.
Can you share some?
Sure, absolutely. So, I mean, what I think we're really spoiled about is that, Eterneva is very much about celebrating a life well lived. And so I think it almost like filters out these really awesome people, because I don't think you do a diamond for kind of an average person. Like a lot of the time it's like, man, that was an amazing person. So one person that I love that comes to mind is Florian Auger. He was a French soldier, DJ, race car driver, COO to his wife's company. His wife is Renee Rouleau. She's a celebrity esthetician and has her own skincare company. And many people just joked that Florian was the most interesting man in the world, because he just had this like crazy diverse, world of hobbies, and was just such a kind and wonderful person, while still having kind of that sassy, cutting French humor. And Florian was also diagnosed with a pretty rapid cancer, and I had the opportunity to go and sit down with him and his kids and Renee, and we had a conversation together. He said, I want to do this. I want my kids, I want everybody to have a diamond of mine, so that they can have a piece of me with them all the time. And it was just this really powerful experience, getting to share that with him. And he picked out his colors, black and green, because those were his race car colors. And yeah, I mean, when Florian passed, like his family is just so inspiring. They've just continued to tell his stories and have his legacy live on. They have a hashtag, This is Florian. And it's so incredible. So I really am very inspired by them. Another one that I love is one of our customers, Jackie Sams, and she did this for her daughter, Katie. She lost her when she was 19, so it was very young. And, especially for parents, when they lose a child, that's when really everybody stops talking about them. They get really uncomfortable about it. And so what Jackie said was, she was like, of course, my baby is absolutely beautiful, so of course she's going to be a diamond. She chose blue diamond because Katie was born in Hawaii, loved the ocean. We set it in this beautiful vintage kind of antique ring, because she loved antique jewelry. And what Jackie says is, she was like, I just wanted it to be so, extraordinary that people comment on it. And it gives me the opportunity to talk about Katie. So it's kind of a conversation starter. So yeah, I love that. I just thought that was just so beautiful when she told us that.
Wow. So you've been kind of like around a lot of death.
Yeah.
Where do you think we go?
That's a great question. Like, where do you think we go when we pass?
Mm-hmm. I just want to know your answer.
My answer. That's a great question. I mean, I think we become kind of an energy that, your body is not physically here anymore, but I think your presence still is. I think you kind of, for lack of better words, expand back into the universe. There's a lot of science to say that we are still very interconnected, with our world around us. And I really think as you lose the physical form of that, you kind of become part of it all again. And, but your energy is still there. I feel the energy of my grandma and of Tracy all the time.
Yeah. I have the same answer.
Really? Yeah.
Because I believe that our souls, it can't be destroyed. It's just human bodies that die away. So we just like go out into the ether, and then that's why I find your company so interesting, because we then memorialize them in like earthly matter, which is like carbon, and then it becomes into a diamond. So right. I just wanted to ask you what you thought, because it just seemed like very full circle to me.
Totally. Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I've never been asked it before. I'm like, point. I should think about this.
Ashes then become, part of something physical that the loved ones can like hold on to. But I feel like your friend Tracy and your grandma are still with you, like energy is with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that you're reminded of that when you see their diamonds sparkle up at you. It's just like, it feels like their tap on the shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just think your company is so interesting on so many levels because like you're an entrepreneur, you make diamonds, and then you deal with death and grieving. It's like this very multifaceted business. So what is one big lesson you've learned about yourself throughout this whole process?
Such a good question. Oh man, I mean, there's so many, I would say, but I just feel so grateful. I get to do something that feeds my soul so much. People say to me all the time, they're like, how do you do it? How do you, hear these sad stories or, have talk to so many people who are grieving? And I'm like, I love it. I mean, I know when our customer told us, actually many of our customers tell us that we've changed their relationship to their grief. I mean, that's just like the most meaningful thing that I could possibly hear. And it's just so motivating, to want to do more. And, I feel like there's so many movements we want to start and really be the catalyst for. And, I just feel like any obstacle that gets in our way, we're going to blow past because there's too much at stake to not. And so when I think about, what's the lesson there, I guess, it's really corny when people are like, do what feeds your soul. But there really is a lot of wisdom to that, where if it's something that you feel so passionately about, it's just kind of remarkable how much you don't even get caught up in worrying whether you can or can't do something. You just do it because you have to. It matters too much to you to not.
Yeah. And because you're so close to death, I feel like it reminds you of how precious life is, right?
Oh my gosh, all the time. Yeah. I mean, Garrett and I talk about that constantly. And that was something too that was interesting with Tracy. Was when she was first diagnosed, she said, she was a really ambitious woman, executive C-suite, was training to become an executive coach. Like, she had a huge vision for her life. And she was like, wait, like, I haven't gotten to leave my legacy yet. And she panicked. And what I just loved about her aunt was she put a Facebook page together and she invited everybody that had ever known Tracy all the way back to like elementary school and asked them all to write a story about a time that Tracy had impacted their life. And so literally at her bedside, she was just reading these stories to Tracy. And that was one of the last things Tracy said was, you know what, I accept I've left a legacy. And I mean, that just really, really stuck with me. And I think, I reflect on that all the time. And I think if I passed tomorrow, I would feel like I left a legacy and I would feel satisfied with that.
Yeah.
I want it to be even bigger, but we've touched so many lives already, and it's, I would be very fulfilled.
My eyes are tearing up because I'm
I know,
like, oh my God. Well, I just find it such a beautiful thing that like you're continuing her legacy. Like, she was the catalyst to start this whole thing.
100%.
You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And our team too. I mean, it's like, I think about that. I'm like, man, I just wish our team could have gotten to meet her because they would have loved her. And they talk about her all the time, like as if they know her. And I'm just so grateful for that. It's awesome. Yeah.
Where do you see your company in 5 years?
I mean, we have a very big vision for, where we want to be. Like, we want 100% of the United States to know that this is an option. We don't expect, like we say to our customers all the time, this may or may not be the right thing for you, but, our challenge to you is that you don't just have to do what tradition tells you, and you really should find a way to memorialize somebody that matters to you in a way that feels personal and feels right. And so I want more people to know this is an option. And then, I want to really focus on the celebration of these amazing people and doing everything in our power to get their stories out there and to keep their memory alive. So I think that will, there's a lot of ideas we have around the experience that we provide our customers and the journey, and doing a lot of experience innovation there. probably new product lines as well. But yeah, I mean, I think more than anything, it's like obituaries are awful. We shouldn't, we need to figure out better ways to tell people's stories and have them, you know, live forward. And I think Eterneva is going to be the one to solve that problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have two last questions.
Yeah.
What is your advice for women or men who are listening? It could be life advice, entrepreneurship advice, who are thinking about doing something but are stuck or living their best life. What is one thing you can say to them?
That's a great question. I think my favorite piece of advice that are just words to live by is that life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. Mm-hmm. I think that unsticks me all the time, because when I frame it that way, I say, okay, any challenge or, you know, any obstacle or any limiting belief that is coming up for me right now is an invitation by, you know, life to stretch myself, to push myself to my limit, to, you know, become the best version of myself that I possibly can be. And to me, that's really motivating, is to say, you know, I know that I'm capable of a lot, but it takes growth to get there. And so, you know, every challenge that crosses your desk is just an invitation to grow that much more and to get closer and closer to your best life and your best self. And so I think if you can flip that narrative constantly and make sure that check your thoughts, making sure that you're not, you know, victimizing, and you're not, you know, kind of allowing limiting beliefs to run you, and instead flipping it to, okay, this is an opportunity for me. Like, let's go for it. Whether I fail at it or not, who cares? I grow. I think that's just a really important thing to practice.
Girl, preach. This is all the time. Stop being a victim. Oh.
Yeah. And so often it's unconscious, right? Like, it comes from our childhood. You know, if people around us frame things in a victim mindset, then, you know, we're going to model that, but you have to be conscious of it and undo that.
Your parents must be so proud of you, because you're so young and you have all your shit together.
Thank you.
Asking how old you are?
28.
28 years old. Oh my gosh. Like, and you're so sure of yourself and grounded. Like, wow. When in my 20s, I was not like that. Partying, having a good time.
Yeah, right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So this whole podcast and this whole movement is about living your dream life, and it's going away from non-traditional jobs and doing what your calling is. So even though you're already living it, but what is your definition of your dream life?
Yeah, it goes back to the, like, how do I ask myself if I'm becoming the biggest version of myself? I look at that in my relationships. Am I really connecting with the people that I care most about? Do we have that really incredible special bond? Because that takes work too. Yeah. You know, learning how to communicate well with people, you know, learning how to really have just a very special friendship and intimate partnership. And then, you know, am I becoming the best entrepreneur and leader that I possibly can? What am I doing to constantly work towards those things? And am I doing what just really feeds my soul and makes me so happy? And I think if I know I'm pushing the boundary on all of those things, and I continue to, you know, get better and become the best version of myself, mm-hmm. That's living my best life. That's living my dream life for sure.
Ooh, such a good answer.
Thanks.
I just want to take this moment to honor you and to acknowledge you for all that you're doing for people, for this universe, and just making it a better place.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your message. Right back at you.
Yeah. So where can people find you and create a diamond?
Absolutely. You'll know somebody at some point that might need us. So it's Eterneva, ETERNEVA.com. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook. It's just Eterneva. And then my personal handle is Adelle, Adelle Archer.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and for your message. And we look forward to catching up with you at some point and hearing how much you've grown.
Awesome. Would love that. Thank you so much, Laura. I really appreciate it and love what you're creating too. It's just phenomenal and absolutely a need.
Thank you so much, Adele.
All right.